So you may have very well found me because of one of my Trello tutorials. So it might be a little shocking that I'm here today to tell you that I'm leaving Trello. And I want to tell you why I'm leaving Trello and what I'm moving to so that you can make the best decision for your business and your life and whatever you're using Trello for. Let's get into it. Hey, party people! If you are new here, my name is Jessica Stansberry, and I am here to help you live a better, more successful, more productive life. So if that's your jam, make sure you hit subscribe. Now listen, I'm not going to waste time because this is big. This is like big news because you very well may have found me, like I said in the intro, from one of my Trello tutorials. So for me to come on here and tell you that I'm leaving Trello, spoiler alert, which it's not really a spoiler alert because like the title of the video is I'm leaving Trello. But for me to say that could come as quite a shock to you. So I want to kind of explain my thought process on why I'm leaving Trello and what I'm moving to instead. And I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes of what each one of these looks like so you can kind of make your own decision. So first and foremost, I love Trello. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it as a system. I think it's great. I think it's an amazing visual system to make processes and do project planning and all the things. And it has done really well for my business so far. But the biggest complaint that I've had with Trello for a while now is that managing a big team inside of Trello tends to be a little bit hairy. And what I mean by that is there's some functions missing, some things that kind of don't work well together that make managing a team in Trello not the best fit. So a couple of those things, let's say I have a checklist, and in the checklist I have that I need to record a video, and then the next step is that my editor needs to edit the video, and then the next step after that is that someone needs to write the blog post that goes with the video. You can't in Trello physically assign each item of the checklist to a different member of the team. So it becomes like this kind of messy card where everybody just has to know what they're assigned to. You can tag them, but other than that, there's no good way to like assign that task to someone. And then they have to kind of like figure it out from there. Thankfully, the systems, especially with my YouTube videos, is pretty systematized and, well ingrained in everybody's brain at this point where it's not a big deal for us. But I really started seeing it more when I started talking about launching my podcast, which, by the way, is launched. It's out in the world. It's called Grit, and you can go to gritpodcast.co/subscribe to find it on your favorite player. But let me tell you, you need to go listen. But when I started trying to release this new podcast and think about like what that meant and get the systems and the processes set up for everything, I started seeing the holes more and more in Trello because there wasn't a good way to kind of break down the process in each card if we needed to do that. So there's ways around it, and I've showed you guys those. I basically use Butler. So when a card is added to, let's say, one list, it will assign it to a certain person. So, and Butler does this. So let's say it's added to like recorded, like I'm done. I've finished my part. Then it's going to tag the person who needs to edit it. And then it's going to tag the person who needs to write the show notes or whatever comes along with that, or make the graphics. And then after it's edited, it's going to tag the next person who's going to upload it and schedule it. So there's ways around it, but it's still not seamless. And I think one of the biggest flaws with Trello, with managing teams, is that there's not like a board or a place that you can go and see all the tasks or things that have been assigned to you. And I think that's a massive thing that's missing. So if I know I have 17 boards for my team, which is not unrealistic, and someone tagged me on one board, but the notification got buried because I got 6 other notifications on my Trello, there's no good way for me to organize that. So when I go back into Trello, I may miss some things or whatever because there's no good way for me to find where someone tagged me because that's the only notification I got. So I think Trello is missing a part where when you're working with a big team, especially, that you have your own like dashboard where everything that's been assigned to you or tagged to you shows up in a seamless way, but they don't have that. So I think that's something that's been missing for a while. Then the Trello apocalypse happened, which y'all, if my camera is crooked, just ignore it. I think it's a little crooked. I'll fix it. But the Trellopocalypse, whatever, happened. And Trello announced that they were going to be charging per month, per team member for boards. Okay, let me say that again. Per month, per team member, per board for people managing teams on Trello. And that's a lot of pers. So if I have 17 boards, I don't know that that's how many I have, but it's close, probably. Let's say I have 17 boards, and it needs to be 17 boards because I don't have, if I smush everything into one board, it's not as systematized. Let's say I have 17 boards, and I have 4 team members on each board. That means I'm paying 17 times whatever their board fee is. Then I'm paying 4 times 17 to have these 4 people on each of these boards per month. So when we were looking at how much it was going to cost for me to stay on Trello in the capacity that we use it right now, it was going to be exorbitant. And it wasn't, and I went to my team and I was like, I love Trello, but I don't mind to pay for a system. Like that's not, I'm very, like if it's going to make my life better, I will pay for it. However, to pay for a system that doesn't work totally like I want it to work anyway seems a little crazy. So we started looking for different things that were going to replace Trello, and my business manager had a couple of different options, and then I had heard about a system called ClickUp from my friend Haley at Profit Planner, and actually she just changed the name of her business. And I can't think of it right now, but Haley Burkhead from what was previously Profit Planner. But I got to hang out with Haley quite a bit in the month of March because we were both at Social Media Marketing World, and then we were both in Palm Springs, and I was there for Alt, and she was there for just a few days to unwind before she went on to another conference. And so I got to hang out with her quite a bit, and she was really raving about a system called ClickUp and all of its functions. And a couple of the functions she talked about were the exact functions that I felt like were missing from Trello, like being able to pull everything up that's tagged with a certain tag so you know that it's about a certain task. So for instance, if we have a board about the podcast, but there's also like little cards in there thrown in the board, if we're talking in Trello terms, about like what needs to happen next or future planning, then we can, in Trello, they're just on the board. But in ClickUp, you can actually tag them with like future planning. And every time we have a team meeting, we could pull up the tag future planning and we can talk about everything there. So not only that, but it also has that ability to kind of give you everything you've been assigned to there. Now, it's still not perfect because some of the things that we had Butler doing in Trello, we cannot move over to ClickUp because they don't have the functionality. But no system that we looked at did. So essentially what I mean by that is right now, as I said a minute ago, if I have like a 4-part sequence of what happens with something we're doing, take filming my YouTube videos and getting them edited and scheduled, for example. If I have this 4-part thing, right now Butler knows that when I move a card from ideas to filmed, that it then needs to tag my editor, move the card over to the editing process of the Trello board, and then add the checklist for editing. Then it knows as soon as she has checked off a couple of items that it's going to move it over to the person who needs to write the blog post and make the images. So those kinds of things are done by Butler, and if you want to know more about Butler for Trello, it's an amazing system, and I have a video on that, so I'll make sure to link it wherever the things are popping across right now. But it's great. So we're going to be losing that functionality a little bit, but we think we can work with it because of the other functionalities we'll be gaining. Also, ClickUp right now is free. They do have a paid version, but I've talked with several people who said that, you know, the paid version, you didn't have to have it. It wasn't necessary based on what I was wanting to do with the system. So that's why I'm leaving Trello. It's just not serving my team in the best way possible right now. And it was going to cost us a great deal of money every month to stay on Trello for a system that wasn't working right. So it just felt like it was time to move. We haven't moved yet because we're in the middle of like launch season. We just launched the Inner Circle and the podcast, and we're kind of in the middle of a lot of things. So we haven't moved yet, but we are going to take it in phases and move it out as like things kind of calm down and the system is in its place, so that we can move it over to ClickUp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link up ClickUp and Trello both below for you so that if you have any questions or you want to learn how either one of them works, it's all down there. And until next time, make sure you hit subscribe. And don't forget to go check out the Grit podcast on any of your favorite players. I've also linked it up below, and I need your help reviewing it and sharing it and subscribing to it so that iTunes and all the other podcast platforms see that it's an amazing podcast and start featuring it and all the things that come along with podcasting. So make sure you do that. I will love you forever, and I'll see you next time.